She posted, "Grateful for everyone who shaped me, especially my ex who made me better while we were still together." I stayed silent, then wrote my own post. Sometimes, gratitude looks a lot like rewriting history. The next night, she showed up crying at my door, but I told her, "I won't bleed for your closure," and walked away. I'm 34. It was a quiet Sunday. The game was on, volume low, a bowl of chips going stale beside me. I wasn't really watching. I was doing what everyone does when the day feels slow, thumbing through Instagram, half aware, waiting for nothing in particular. Then I saw her name, Maya, a new post. The cover photo was bright and clean, her on a cliff by the ocean from that solo healing trip she took last week. Wind in her hair, the kind of picture that makes strangers tap, like without thinking. I opened it. The caption was long for her. It started with gratitude. It talked about lessons, pain, and growth. The kind of words you say when you're trying to close a chapter and look noble doing it. I read it once. Then again. My eyes stopped at one line that didn't feel vague at all, especially to Ethan, who taught me what love really means. "You made me better." She tagged him, her ex. I didn't double tap. I didn't type anything. I just stared at the tag, at the little orange heart count climbing, at friends writing, "So beautiful. And this is so mature." Ethan liked it too. His tiny gray circle sat right there under her words, like a nod from the past. There was no nod to me. It's strange what gets you. Not shouting. Not even a lie. Just a sentence that looks kind on the surface, but cuts when you think about what it says and what it leaves out. We'd been together 2 years. We shared holidays and bills, and dog sat for her sister, and argued about paint colors like people who believe they'll be around to see them every day. I thought we were building something steady, even with her recent push for space and self-work. I tried to be patient. I told myself this phase would make us stronger. But reading that line, I felt something tilt. If he made her better, what was I? I set the phone face down and tried to focus on the game. The quarterback threw a pass. A crowd on TV roared. In my living room, nothing moved. The chips tasted like cardboard. I picked up the phone again and scrolled back to the top, as if the words might rewrite themselves if I looked at them from a different angle. They didn't. I clicked her profile. The trip highlights were still up. A shot of a coffee cup with "becoming" written in foam. It all fit the theme, healing as a brand. I remembered the late-night talks we'd had lately, how she said she needed to understand herself, how I told her I'd support that. I meant it. I still do. But support shouldn't mean you get erased while the past gets a thank you note. I went to Ethan's page. It was public. Gym photos. A selfie with his dog. A caption from June about good people finding each other again. I told myself not to read into it. I closed the app. I opened it again. I closed it. Each time I did, the same irritation sat under my ribs, like a small stone I couldn't ignore. Maybe she didn't think it through. Maybe it really was about closure. But closure, when you're with someone, has a shape. It makes room for the person who sleeps next to you and picks you up from the airport and listens when your voice gets tight. It doesn't tag the person you used to love like a shout-out during an awards speech. By the time the game ended, I hadn't heard from her. No text about dinner plans. No, "Did you see my post?" Nothing. That hurt more than I wanted to admit. It felt like she pressed share, set the phone down, and walked away lighter, while the weight slid to me. We used to joke about how social media makes everything louder than it needs to be. How people live for applause from strangers. How real things happen off-screen. I wanted to believe we still lived by that. I wanted to believe I mattered more than a caption. The TV played highlights. Outside, a siren passed and faded. I looked at the clock and told myself I'd sleep this off. But even as I turned off the lights and rinsed the bowl in the sink, I knew this wasn't noise. It was a message delivered with a filter and a tag that I couldn't unsee. I didn't comment and didn't text. For a while, I told myself I was calm. But silence isn't peace. It's waiting for your thoughts to get loud. The more I sat there, the more it spun in my head. That picture, that caption, the tag, the line everyone called mature. By midnight, I gave in. I reopened Instagram. Not once. Not twice. 3 times. Each time I looked, the post felt heavier. The same ocean view, the same polished words, the same names in the comments acting like it was inspiring. It didn't inspire me. It made me feel small. Was I supposed to be proud that she could thank her ex like that? I tried to rationalize. Maybe she meant it differently. Maybe it was closure. Maybe I was reading too deeply. But if it really was innocent, why tag him? I barely slept that night. My mind replayed it over and over. The tone of her voice when she said she needed space. The late-night journaling. The new affirmations she'd been posting about self-love. None of it seemed like the love we shared. It was all me and never we. By morning, the questions had me restless. I went for a walk, hoping to shake the thoughts off. But every song, every sign, every small silence brought me back to that caption. He made me better. The more I thought about it, the more it sounded like she'd already placed me in the next chapter, just a quiet footnote to her evolution. We had brunch plans that afternoon. She picked the spot, a small cafe she liked for its oat milk lattes and calm playlists. When she walked in, she looked light, peaceful, the kind of mood that usually rubs off on me. She sat across from me, smiling, phone face up beside her. She talked about the trip, how the ocean air cleared her mind, how journaling helped her let go of old energy. I nodded, stirred my coffee, and tried to stay present. But my eyes kept glancing at her phone, lighting up with notifications. I didn't ask, but my chest already knew. Finally, I asked what had been stuck in my throat since yesterday. So that post. You thanked Ethan? She blinked. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reflection. He hurt me, but I've grown. I wanted to acknowledge that. Her expression shifted. It's not that deep, Ryan. It's just closure. You should be happy I'm healing. Happy. That word sat wrong. Healing shouldn't make the person standing next to you feel invisible. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just nodded, pretending to understand. She smiled and went back to her latte, talking about new goals, new plans. But I wasn't really listening. Inside, something small and quiet cracked. Not jealousy, clarity. I realized she wasn't closing a chapter. She was keeping it open, decorated with hashtags and gratitude quotes. As we paid the bill, she reached for my hand, gave me that same soft squeeze she always does, and asked, "You're okay, right?" Yeah, I said, just thinking. And I was. Because love shouldn't feel like you're clapping for someone else's progress from the audience. And for the first time, I started wondering if she even saw me sitting there beside her, or if she was too busy looking back. She wasn't done with her past. I could see it now. Every word she wrote, every quote she shared, it all circled back to him. It wasn't love letters anymore, just echoes dressed up as gratitude. And me? I wasn't her partner. I was the audience clapping at the end of a show I didn't star in. When we finished brunch, she kissed me on the cheek, smiled, and said, "Love you." I said it back, but it felt automatic, like reading a line I'd said too many times before. Watching her walk away, phone in hand, carefree, something inside me just shifted. Love shouldn't feel like standing in someone else's shadow. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm. Not because I wanted to, my mind hadn't stopped all night. Her voice from yesterday played in loops. It's not that deep. It's closure. But closure shouldn't hurt like betrayal. And it definitely shouldn't need an audience. I reached for my phone, out of habit. Usually, I'd text her first thing, some small joke or a good morning, just to make her smile. But today, I didn't. Not out of anger. Just clarity. I didn't want to start the day pretending everything was fine. For the first time in months, the silence felt clean. Not empty, not forced, just quiet enough for me to hear my own thoughts. Around noon, my screen lit up. You okay? You seem off. I stared at the message for a while, then typed, just thinking. A few minutes later, she sent a heart emoji. No question, no curiosity, just a symbol, a shortcut for effort. It hit me then. She wanted peace, not conversation. Validation, not understanding. All day, her caption echoed in my mind. He made me better. What did I make her? Was I helping her grow, or just keeping her busy while she waited to feel ready again? By evening, I sat at my desk, scrolling through my photos. One caught my eye, a simple shot from a hiking trail last weekend. The light behind me was warm, soft. I looked still. I hadn't planned to post anything. But for the first time, I wanted to say something. Not to her, not to anyone specific, just to myself. I opened Instagram. Choose the photo. Typed slowly, every word steady, not bitter. Sometimes, being with someone teaches you what love isn't. And sometimes, the lesson isn't about who made you better, but who made you realize you deserve better. No names. Just truth. I read it twice. Not to second guess, but to make sure it sounded like me. Not the hurt version, not the angry one, just the honest one. My thumb hovered over share. For a second, I thought about how it might look, how people might read into it, how she might react. But I wasn't posting it for anyone. This time, it was for me. I pressed post. The moment it went up, I felt something I hadn't in days. Control. Not one of her choices. Not of the story. Just mine. Whatever came next, her reaction, her silence, her anger, I was ready. Because maybe closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes, it's a quiet decision. To stop waiting for someone to turn around and finally see you. I hit share. Not out of spite. Not to prove a point. Just to breathe again. For once, I wasn't overthinking how my words might land. I just wanted them to exist, somewhere outside of me. The post went live. No tags. Just truth. I set my phone down, leaned back, and exhaled. It wasn't relief exactly, more like space, A little gap between me and everything I'd been holding in. Within minutes, the notification started. A few mutual friends liked it. Someone from work commented. This hit deep. A couple of quiet DMs came through. Nothing dramatic, just small nods from people who understood. And then, her message popped up. Is this about me? I stared at the screen. The question sat there like a mirror. Because if you have to ask, you already know the answer. I didn't reply. Not yet. A few hours later, long after sunset, there was a knock at my door. No call. Just 3 short knocks. When I opened it, she was standing there, hoodie pulled tight, eyes red, hair messy. The version of her that didn't plan to be seen. Can we talk? She asked softly. I stepped aside. She walked in, restless. Her hands kept moving. Into pockets. Out again, like she didn't know where to put them. You're mad about the post, she said finally. I get it now. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just trying to show growth. I nodded slowly. I get that. But growth shouldn't make someone else feel small in the process. She stopped pacing and looked at me. I wasn't trying to make you feel small. I was trying to move on. By tagging him. I asked quietly. By thanking him for teaching you love while you're with me. She bit her lip, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't think it would come across like that. But it did. I kept my tone steady. Not sharp, not defensive. Just steady. You thanked your ex for making you better. That's fine. People grow. But when you say that publicly while you're in a relationship, it sends a message. And the message I got was that I'm just standing in the credits. Not part of the story. Her eyes watered. And for the first time, I could see it. Regret. Not the kind you post about, but the kind that hits when you realize you really hurt someone. Ryan, I didn't mean. I raised a hand gently. I know you didn't mean to. But intentions don't erase impact. You're still healing. And maybe that's okay. But I shouldn't have to bleed for your closure. She went quiet. The room filled with the kind of silence that is weight. The kind that carries every unspoken word you both know won't fix anything. She sat down on the couch, head in her hands. I thought I was being strong. I thought it was mature. Maturity isn't about tagging the past, I said quietly. It's about choosing the present. She nodded slowly, eyes glossy. I just wanted to show I was grateful. You did, I said. Just nod to me. That one landed. I could see it in the way she flinched, small, but real. And for the first time since that Sunday scroll, I felt calm. The silence between us stretched, not tense, just heavy. The kind that fills a room when both people finally see the truth sitting between them. She looked up, eyes glassy, and reached across the couch. Please, don't do this, she whispered. We can fix it. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But deep down, I knew. This wasn't something to fix. It wasn't broken in the way glue could mend. It was misaligned. She was still looking backwards, and I was done being the man waiting for her to face forward. I gently pulled my hand back. I'm not angry, Maya, I said quietly. I just think you need time, and maybe I do too. Apart. Her tears came fast. She shook her head, trying to find words, but none of them sounded like understanding. They sounded like panic, the kind you feel when you realize you've crossed a line you didn't see until it was too late. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't walk away. I just sat there with her sadness, letting it exist. Because this wasn't about punishing her. It was about being honest, with her, with myself. When she finally stood to leave, she turned back at the door. I'm sorry, she said, voice small. I really didn't mean to make you feel that way. I nodded. I know. But feelings don't care about intentions. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say more, then stopped. Maybe she realized this wasn't the moment to explain. Maybe she knew I was right. Either way, she stepped out into the hallway. Eyes red, hoodie pulled tight again. And when the door clicked shut behind her, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel heartbroken either. I just felt still. No shouting. Just understanding. Quiet. Final. And real. Over the next few days, her texts came in bursts. Long messages filled with apologies, promises, paragraphs about how she'd delete the post something for us, make it right. But I didn't need to be thanked online. I didn't want a caption. I wanted to be seen, to be valued where it mattered, in the small, unfiltered moments. I replied once. I hope you find peace, not proof. Then I muted her. Not blocked. Just silence. Because sometimes silence isn't distance. It's dignity. Weeks passed. The post disappeared from her page. One afternoon, curiosity got the better of me. I checked. It was gone, replaced by a quote. Sometimes losing someone is how you realize what they meant. Maybe it was about me. Maybe not. But I didn't double tap. I didn't share. I just put the phone down. Because closure isn't scrolling through regret. It's learning when to stop. That lazy Sunday started like nothing. A couch, and yet, it opened a door I didn't know I'd been standing behind. The kind where you realize love isn't supposed to make you compete with ghosts. She thought healing meant thanking the past. I learned healing meant letting go of what kept me standing still. Now, weekends feel quieter, but not lonely. Just real. I still scroll sometimes, see posts about growth and gratitude, but I don't read between the lines anymore. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.